Come on and join us on the front porch. On the front porch with Randy and friends.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends. And I'm here today with Glenda Chauncey.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You've seen her many times before. Glenda is such a welcoming opportunity for our show. Thank you for being here. But you know, Glenda, we're going to get right into this because we get some emails sometimes from people. And so I was just going to open up this mailbox, which is where the emails.
Ding, ding. Ding, you have like an effect.
Exactly. So
effect?
We're just going to go through. We have like 5, and we're going to go through each one, and we're just going to talk about them. And
Are these recent?
These are recent. These are people that have reached out to us, and this is what they said.
They want to know?
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Hillary Clinton is now in the race for the President of the United States of America. Will you support her?
No, I would not. She's a female. I wouldn't do it.
What?
No, I wouldn't do it. No.
What does that mean?
Well, because I don't think a woman should be a president. I really don't.
Gosh. Well, say that to Margaret Thatcher, who was the Prime Minister of Britain.
And that's a whole different set of government. That's family line. That's something that you're born into. That's something that you're
Oh, the Clintons, were they not born into?
Her husband.
The Bushes, were they not born into?
The husbands.
Wow.
No, and look, and I'm not gonna.
Wow.
And I'm not gonna say this in a.
I didn't know what to. I saw this question in advance.
Yeah.
And I was like,
what is she gonna say?
I thought she was gonna be totally on board with this.
No,
totally
I'm not.
shocked.
I'm not. I think women, it's very difficult and very man decisions. Like, for example, going to war. When a woman knows that children are going to be murdered and killed and blasted away, I just find it hard that a woman can stand behind that when you. What? Why are you doing the face?
I am just so surprised.
You are?
Yes. Let me tell you something, and I think people are trying to figure out. I think this question is coming as to where I'm going to come as a Democrat on this issue. Listen, I think I gave some money, just a small amount of money, not a lot of money, to the Hillary Clinton campaign before, and I get emails all the time. And I wish they would stop emailing me, but she made a mistake in her first campaign. She got too arrogant. And therefore, and then when Oprah Winfrey came out and supported Barack Obama, it was all said and done. And we were ready for a Democrat to be president. I will tell you that I don't think we were ready for a black man to be president.
Listen, we are not ready for a woman to be president.
No, I disagree with you.
I'm
going to suggest to you that when it comes to the Republican side of this ticket, I probably would support Jeb Bush over what's his name? All I see is him drinking water. What's his name? But anyway, it doesn't matter. My point is that I'm probably going to be on the side of Hillary Clinton because I love a woman that stands by her man. So there's that question.
After what happened with Monica Lewinsky, I guess you do.
And don't you dare wear a blue dress with a white stain on it. Okay, so second question. What was? I still can't believe I can't remember the other guy that got in the race this week. That's pathetic.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, this is
the handwriting. How can you read that?
Theme parks went to $9 an hour this year. And in case you don't know this, we live in Orlando, Florida. Recently, the minimum wage has been a big deal. It's been a big question for a lot of a lot of people. And more importantly, what's happening with the minimum wage issue is what's a real living wage? What can you afford to live on every week? So recently, theme parks went from $8 to $9 an hour. Many believe that it's not enough. Now we're seeing demonstrations here in Orange County that they want to take it to $15 an hour. Glenda, yes or no that $15 an hour, because I already know where this is going, yes or no that $15 an hour is a reasonable minimum wage?
Absolutely. No questions asked.
So knowing that some nurses start out at 20, do you think that somebody that is, and I'm not trying to degrade anybody that works in food service or any of those issues, but do you think someone that's making your Big Mac should also be as close to somebody?
Hold on.
Do you think that somebody should be that close that also is in giving you an incision or taking your blood or any of that kind of stuff?
Listen, it's all based on the economics of what's around us. Number one, the rents are going up. Food has gone up. Cost of living has gone up. You have to go with the economics of what's going on. Nurses go to school. They are not.
They go to school. You're right. They don't go to Hamburger University.
Well,
they go to college to become medical professionals.
And a lot of people flipping burgers are also going to college so they can go to school and get better jobs. Listen, there's nothing wrong with giving more per hour. I think what will happen is I think we'll see less people.
Marco Rubio.
Oh no,
Rubio. That's
no.
who it was. Marco Rubio.
Oh yeah, now we're going back
Gosh,
there.
I couldn't figure
No,
that one out.
all
But
I'm
go back to
saying
your
is
conversation.
a lot of people would get off of, food stamps, assistance. A lot of things would change if we would just make an advantage of pay for people in our society. That's it.
Linda,
Be
you
done
can't
with it.
force companies to pay
Oh
people.
no, not the ones that make trillions of dollars off the backs of the American people.
It is not up to
Okay.
the Disneys of the world to make sure that
Oh.
people. No, you
So
can't
go ahead
do
and
that.
raise the prices up to $16 a ticket.
But the point is that you're missing the point.
I'm not missing a point.
You are absolutely
No, I'm
missing
not missing
the
a point. The point is people
I'm not ready to
should.
pull that silver hat right off my head.
I am going to tell you that people deserve to get paid a higher wage based on the cost of living. You can't
But
expect
I think what
people-
happens is that people expect a higher wage based on the success of a company, and that's where you're making a mistake.
I think it goes both ways. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what.
Absolutely. It goes
That's
both ways. There's a lot of companies now stepping up and realizing, you know what, we need to take care of our employers. We need to take care of employees. Sorry, we need to take care of our employees. They see the benefits of doing that. Why not across the United States?
Capitalism does not support your ideology. It really doesn't. People should be. If you open a company, let's say Front Porch Chat becomes very successful.
Mm-hmm.
Are you telling me that then everybody that works for Front Porch Chat deserves part of that money, knowing that now every day
If
is
they
a
work
struggle?
hard, and they show that they're loyal
Oh my
to
gosh!
you and that they're
Will they
willing
be the
to
ones
do,
that sacrifice their home or sacrifice their life or sacrifice all these different
Some
things to
may.
make it happen?
Some may.
Some haven't.
Don't assume that.
Some haven't. Nobody
Really?
hasn't, but my
Don't
family
assume
and
that.
friends.
Do not
No.
assume that. That's not necessarily true. There are some people that will do these things for you, but it's your loyalty giving back to them
No,
that they give
the
back to
reality
you.
is that Walt Disney World is a company. It's a perfect example that whether you're picking up trash or you are deciding how to run a marketing campaign, the reality is you are paid for the job that you're doing. You don't get part of the success of the company.
Okay.
There's that one going away.
Whatever.
Number 3.
We will definitely disagree on
We will
that.
definitely disagree on that. You are not going to get that one, girl.
Okay. Cheers.
All right, this is something that we can talk about because although this is in the city of Orlando, interesting. City of Orlando is moving forward. And for the folks that don't live here in Orlando, what's happening is that our mayor and 3 of our elected officials that are city commissioners are up for re-election in 2016. Instead of doing that, they have decided to move that race to 2015, or at least they're trying to. And as a result, they will then almost inevitably make it impossible for anybody to run against the mayor, impossible to run against these city
It's called
commissioners.
manipulation.
Okay, so Glenda, the question is, knowing that they are trying to do that November of this year, 2015, instead of 2016, and coincide with the presidential election, which in fact would get more people out to vote.
Of course it would.
So my question is, what do you think about that?
Well, it's manipulation. It's total manipulation, so people will win certain races, and that's it. I mean, what else are you going to call that? There's no reason to do that. What you should do is I agree with you. Put it with the presidential election. Why not? Because more
Well,
people
the last
are
part
out
of the
to-
question is, will you be running for City Council District 4?
Who?
Me.
You or me?
Me.
I'm not running. Are you?
Maybe. You never know.
Are you ready for all of that backlash? Come on now.
It can't get any worse.
Well,
I
you know
put up
what?
a picture
That
of her at a
is-
motorhome, and
that
you think that I
is-
was
oh,
driving a motorhome around the city of Orlando already.
you know, you
can't
can't even
it.
do a fake mock-up on Facebook. It is the craziest thing
That
I've
is
ever
true.
seen.
The answer to the question is, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, number 4. Let's see what's going on.
I'm still in trouble for the Hillary Clinton.
You really are.
I know. A lot of people are going to be
All right,
hating me.
this is kind of funny.
Women,
I think this
especially.
is hysterical. A Florida boy had a pet water moccasin.
I heard this
Okay.
today.
Today, the water moccasin, he's kissed it 12 times.
Mhm.
Yes, he has. On the 13th time, and this is a real story. This is not fake. This is a real story. On the 13th time, it bit him. And in fact, he had to be rushed to the medical center and all this stuff. And he's facing criminal charges. Here's my question. If you have a snake, a pet snake, that you can kiss, do you think that you should be facing criminal charges
No,
for that?
absolutely not. Government's way too much in our lives. I mean, look, if he was stupid enough to kiss a snake on the top of his head, he deserves to get
I
bit.
totally agree. What are you going to do with that? I don't even know what to do with that information.
You're gonna die.
You're going to die. Well, he's going to live. I understand.
Yeah,
gonna
he's
live.
living,
He was in
I
critical condition. He's going to live. Last question. Oh, Jay. Today, the Florida State Senate decided that it's okay for gays to adopt. They're not going to fight that anti-adoption bill. What do you think about that?
I am pro for it. Absolutely. There's so many unwanted children out there that get lost in the system. There's so many amazing gay couples out there that would be wonderful parents. They absolutely should have the opportunity to do that.
Here we agree. Here's the bottom line: is gays are not perverts. Gays are not. We're really not out there trying to seek all of your children, etc. The bottom line is, I was a parent for 5.5 years. Probably one of the best times I'll ever have in my entire life when it comes to being able to be around a child, and I know I was great at being a dad. So the reality is that if gay people want to be parents, let them be parents, because there's too many people out there that do not have good parents, let alone two supportive parents.
Well, two heterosexual parents.
Yeah, exactly. So with that said, we'll be back in just a few minutes with Rick Brown, who is our relationship expert. We're going to be talking about relationships today, folks, and how we can make them good, bad, and different, and how we can actually explore them and possibly survive them. We'll be back in just a second on the front porch.
Randy and Friends.
Hi, I'm Randy Ross.
First thing people should do, I would say, is start listening and shut up.
Don't say black on black crime. We had this conversation.
Everybody was like, whoa, he's not a cop, what's up?
The statistics are the statistics.
I'm no stranger to politics, but I'm bringing it to you with a twist. Whenever you hear us say the word politics, go ahead and drop a drink.
I ran for office, right? I lost. It's a fact.
You know what? It's perhaps a socioeconomic education level issue.
Whatever community you're talking about, it's about people.
Okay, we understand the issues. So what are we going to do? We have to learn respect again.
Fine, you greedy bastard. Here's your $5.
That's
And I will say cheers to that.
Cheers.
Politics, yeah.
Real people, real discussions, and cocktails every Sunday at 11. So you drink coffee every day?
Yes.
Do you put Jack Daniels in it every time?
That gives me the boost I need.
Oh, jeez. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends. When we were doing a show about relationships, I started doing some research, and actually I found the perfect person to be able to discuss that with us right here in the city of Orlando. Rick Brown has not only been on Oprah Winfrey as a person of resource regarding relationships, but he is consistently utilized here locally on local television shows, and actually has his own workshops that he's doing. So I'm incredibly excited to introduce today Rick Brown. He's going to talk to us a little bit about, Rick, tell us how you got into the relationship advice process, and tell us a little bit more about you and what it is that you do and how you can help us, because we all need a little bit of help when it comes to relationships.
I've been doing it actually for 40 years, but if you ask
40 years?
40 years.
You don't even look that old.
But if you ask my mother, she says that when I was in 5th grade, and the teacher went around and said, what do you want to be when you grow up? Apparently, I said a marriage counselor.
Really?
I don't know why I would have said that, but I have been following this I went off to college, did my graduate work, my undergraduate work in psychology and relationships, and I have just been for over 40 years working in this field.
How did you get into the space where people said, you know what, Rick Brown, Oprah Winfrey, local news, how did you become that point person for them to be able to reach out as a resource?
It was probably a lucky thing. I was just in my office on an ordinary Wednesday, and I got this call from this person who said, this is so-and-so from the Oprah Winfrey Show, and I thought it was a friend putting me up to something. And
I would have too. I feel excited.
But fortunately I didn't say that, and I said, well, thank you. And she said, Oprah wants to do a show on helping difficult couples create intimacy.
Difficult? Oh. Okay.
And what did I know about that? And I spoke for about 10 minutes, and she said, well, thank you very much, but we're interviewing 20 or 30 other experts across the country.
Really?
That was on Wednesday. On Friday, she called me back and said, we talked to these other people, but you make sense.
Wow.
And I love being validated.
So tell me, how do you do that? Out of curiosity, how did you?
Well, yeah.
What was your response?
Well, if you think about all couples who are in conflict, what they're feeling is a sense of being disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel really disconnected, you find yourself responding to that in ways that can escalate the disconnect. So through arguing, through tension, through fights. And what you really have to do is help people begin to feel safer with each other, and in the process of feeling safer, feeling more connected. And so when you really get that conceptually, that beneath all anger, for example, beneath all anger, and you can go all the way down the continuum, beneath all anger, there's frustration, You can go up.
We're right in the flag pattern, Rick. Just so you know, right in the flag
You
pattern.
can go from frustration to anger to rage, but if you follow that all the way down, beneath all anger is hurt.
Sure.
And so if you can help people begin to move beneath their anger to their hurt, and you help people touch each other in that way, then you increase their connection.
Talk to me about, I mean, you've been doing this for such a long time. How many, out of curiosity, how many couples do you think that you've touched?
Well, it's hard to say because I do it 5 days a week and for 40 years. So
For 40 years.
somebody will have to do the math on that one.
What's the hardest part about working with people in relationships? Because, you know, as a person who's obviously been through them, you know, when you have the struggle and you have the pain, what do you think, is it harder when there's obviously some opportunity for recovery? I mean, what do you think is the hardest part about working with a couple?
Well,
Do they really want to stay together or not?
Well, you know, most people really want their relationships to work. Even those that I've worked with over the years who are thinking about separating or divorcing or splitting up. If you listen long enough to those people, they really want the relationship. What they don't want is to continue the pain and the frustration and the disappointment and the hurt. And if you can help people begin to connect with each other in a way that feels safer, most people really want their relationships to work.
Is it
And
sometimes?
by the way, what we know is if they don't work it out in this one, they're going to be working out in the next one.
You know, that's isn't it interesting? Because, you know, a lot of people think that the grass is greener on the other side. That, oh, it must be between you and me and it has nothing, and they can't, they're going to fix it some other place.
Right.
Do they?
Well, here's the frightening statistics. If you think about of every 10 couples who marry today in this country, 5 will quit,
Right.
divorce. Of those who quit, 90-some% will remarry.
Oh no, so they're so now we have another
But do you know what the
failure.
divorce rate on second marriages is? 63%.
Really?
And guess what they do?
All the same mistakes.
Do it again.
Do it again.
And I just came to the conclusion a long time ago that the human being is just an incredibly slow creature to learn.
To learn.
Because we keep doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result, only to find ourselves in something that smells very, very familiar.
But you know what's so funny is we all get jealous of those people that we think are in those perfect relationships. You know, what is it they're doing that I'm not doing? What is it that I could do better? Or what? How do you guide people through that process? And I know we have some guests coming on in a few minutes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about their situations and the places that they have been. But how do you get to that other space of, I want to be in that good relationship?
Right. And by the way, even of those who stay in it, if you look closely at those, 2 to 3 of those couples will tell you it's somewhat dissatisfying. And they may be kind of coexisting or going through the motions or just kind of living with each other. But
Oh no.
that aliveness and that joy and that passion is
Don't you
often
think
gone.
the fear though is loneliness? Isn't that ultimately what we're fearing?
Well, I think ultimately what we fear is disconnection.
Okay.
What we experience is in our relationships, you can be married and you can be living in the same house with somebody and you can feel so disconnected,
Really?
so alone. Yeah. And then out of that emptiness, then people start to either drink more or they go out and have an affair or they kind of start on.
Because they're looking for that emotional
They're
connection.
trying to get some emotional connection. There's a yearning that we all have to feel emotionally connected.
Well, Rick, I'm excited to have you on the show. When we come back, we're actually going to bring on a few guests, and we're going to talk about their situations, their relationship woes and positives, as you will. And Rick's going to give us some advice, or give them some advice, if you will, on how they can be hopefully seeking the right person in the future. So we'll be right back with Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends in just a second.
Randy and Friends.
We hope that you'll join us every week so we can talk about politics, a little bit of pop culture, and whatever's happening in our community that's going to change and help us all make this a better place to live, work, and play. So tune in to Front Porch Chat with Randy every Sunday at 11.
Randy and Friends.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends. I'm back with our resident expert, Rick Brown, who's going to tell us a little bit about, or be able to guide us through relationship woes and positives and ups and downs and everything else that has to do with relationships. But we've got Michael Safali on the show today, folks. Local actor. Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself and how things have been going for you relationship-wise, and hopefully Rick is going to be able to give you some advice that'll help you in the
Awesome.
future.
I'm a 34-year-old single man here in Orlando. I work. I play not as hard as I work, as I've grown out of that. What else can I say? I enjoy the outdoors. I like social settings. I don't like to stay home. I meet women through friends, through work. But I've been a little bit busy, so I don't always get to go out as much as I'd like to, nor do I get to experience some of the things that I want to.
And then we got Tara Yeager. You know, what's so funny about Tara is everybody tells me she has a sassy side, and she's also a DJ, which I would never get, and you won't get it either when you actually hear her speaking. But Tara, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am a DJ, and right now.
What type of music do you do?
I can do any type of music.
Any type of music.
Mainly, I mean, the usual house, electronic, top 40. I've even did a swing brunch. Plays swing music.
Right.
But I could do anything basically.
So you've been engaged a few times.
I've been engaged 3 times.
3 times.
Yes, 3 times.
So how long did those engagements last?
I would say about a year and a half.
Each one was a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just.
And none of them, obviously.
I just knew it wasn't right. Sometimes, people know it's not right, go through with it anyway. But
So you ended them.
Yes, you get that feeling that this is not right, so you have to end it. Unfortunately, you have to end it. But
well, guys, the first topic I want to talk about is something that's pretty out there. Is social media and online dating, and I want Rick to be able to interact with you and tell me what your experience has been with that. Have you actually? How does social media impact your dating lifestyle, and how does social media impact or online dating impact whether you do you even do that? Do you do that, Michael?
I mean, I do social media. Do I do some dating online? I've tried it. I didn't really get any good results. It was just not the right, I guess, feel.
What's a good result?
A good result is someone who makes a profile and is actually who they say they are, not put up a facade and then you meet them and you're like, what happened to this person that I first encountered?
Is that because of the pictures or just because it's not the personality?
I wouldn't say mostly pictures, but sometimes people say they enjoy things or they like doing stuff or being a part of certain things. And then when you put them to the test, oh, well, I've only done it once or it was a long time ago. So it's not something that they actively do. They maybe have some other things they use that to cover it up.
Rick, is that popular? Is that kind of the way it is?
Here's the thing with online dating, whether it's Match.com or eHarmony. If you think about all those sites, they are designed in such a way where they ask you to kind of define yourself, what it is you like, what you're looking for, and that is all a conscious process. In other words, it's like if you had to describe the ideal mate, what are you looking for? You would jot down, I want somebody who does this, I want somebody like this, I want somebody like that, and then you try to match that. Here's the problem with that. Even though that's what we're consciously looking for, what we're really going to be drawn to is something very different. And what I mean by that is what we're actually going to find ourselves drawn to is somebody who has the positive and the negative traits and characteristics of our parents.
Tara and Michael, is that something you experience in your? Because you're both single, dating, or out there available to be dating. Because Tara, you say you haven't dated in a year.
No.
But
this is actually what happens over and over, and that's why when it doesn't work out with the first one, we think we got rid of that problem, but we even swear I'm never going to get into another relationship like that again. But you end up finding yourself drawn into something that might even look a little different. But as you stay with it long enough, you'll find you're in a relationship with somebody who's also, again, emotionally unavailable, self-centered, preoccupied.
I think that happens a lot. I think people assume that they are emotionally available and then they encounter someone who's in that mindset, but then they might say, oh, wait, maybe I'm not. Maybe I've still got this going on in my career or I've got a child.
Do you think you're emotionally available?
I would say I'm emotionally available.
Well, the person who really could say that is
know.
if we could bring in all the people you dated, for example, who had a serious relationship with you, if we lined them up, they would all.
Oh, Lord, where's that list at? I need to call Glenda Johnson.
Over here.
Yeah, well, exactly.
She'll be on the show.
I mean, for me speaking, I would say I've been emotionally available, but maybe just my picker is broken. Because that's what I've
Your
encountered.
picker is broken.
What
does that mean?
Your picker, someone had said to me, maybe your picker is broken. I was thinking, I'm like, picker. But what you use to define someone that you look for, if you're looking for a type of person.
I tell you the situation that convinced me of this. I saw this couple came into my office. It was clear that the husband did not want to be there. You could tell that in people's body language, but they came in to see me. And right out of the chute, the wife said, "The reason I'm here is I'm tired of his drinking." With that, the man got up, he walked right out of my office, never said a word. She looked at me and she said, "I don't know what to do." We talked, I listened, she cried, I listened, she talked, and she left. She came back the next week by herself. He refused to come back. We talked, I listened, she cried, I listened, and she left. I saw this woman in my office for therapy once a week for 3 years.
Wow.
Through that process, she made a painful decision. She was going to divorce her husband. She cried about that. She did not want to end the marriage, but she couldn't live with his drinking. She was scared. She'd been a stay-at-home mom, and now she was going to have to get a job, a career. And she was worried about the children. She didn't want to break up the home. I stayed with her for 3 years. At the end of those 3 years, the divorce had gone through. She had a new job, and she loved what she was doing. It was a career. Had I a rubber stamp in my desk drawer, I'd have pulled it out and stamped her forehead. Healed. Here it was a broken woman who is now thriving and loving life and dating. Healed. We said our goodbyes. 4 years later, she called me. I don't know if you remember me or not.
No.
3 years of my life. How am I
of
gonna-
course, of course.
She said, "But you," I said, "No, I remember you." She was so sweet. I said, "I remember you." She said, "Well, that's so nice of you." But she said, "I wanted you to know I recently remarried." I said, "Congratulations." I was genuinely happy for her.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
She came into my office with her new, but she said, "We're having a few little problems."
Oh, they always do.
Yeah.
Came in
exactly.
within 15 minutes, sitting there with her new husband. I said,
No.
"Oh my gosh." Here's the thing that blew me away. She did not marry another alcoholic. In fact, she married a very prominent and successful attorney here in town. I know the man. I recognized him when I came out to meet him. He does not even drink. She didn't marry an alcoholic, but she married a
Workaholic.
Workaholic.
Yeah.
What do you think the complaints were?
Never available.
She said, "Honey, sometimes when you're home, it feels like you're not really home. Sometimes when I'm trying to talk to you, it feels like you're kind of preoccupied." Those were the same complaints she used about her alcoholic husband.
So it was about anything that made her, or him, or them unavailable to her.
Yeah. Now here's a guy who's a very bright man, as I said. He said, "You know, this is my second marriage. I heard these complaints.
The last.
One person.
Yeah.
Maybe we got some work to do." And so it's like you're either going to work it out in this one, or you're going to be working out in the next one. Those same issues, those same dynamics are going to show up in your next relationship.
You know, that's a very interesting point, because we often do
Yeah.
gravitate towards what we think, where the grass is greener. We think we're headed towards something better.
I've often used the example, it's kind of like because of our childhood and the way we were raised, it's like we've been programmed for ketchup, let's say.
Right.
You're always going to be attracted to ketchup. You're never going to be attracted to mustard or
I
relish
like
or
mustard.
pickles.
I don't like ketchup.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But the idea,
There's always one in the crowd.
But you see, ketchup does come in 57 varieties. You know, so there's like that thin water ketchup, like I said, his first husband who didn't care, he didn't want to do anything with his drinking, you know.
We're in a flight pattern, just so everybody knows. Just making out.
And there's that thick, rich ketchup, like the second husband, who said, you know, I've heard these complaints before. Maybe we got some work to do.
Well, I think that's an interesting segue into one of our next topics is why do people stay, Rick, why do people stay in bad relationships? And I got to be honest with you, sometimes I've been in situations where I didn't even know it was bad until someone told me it was bad. You know, I thought it was great. And so let's explore that conversation. Tell us, why do we stay in bad relationships?
Well, there's the obvious in terms of, the embarrassment, maybe financial need to stay there. Maybe there's children involved. There's those obvious reasons. But I think at a deeper level, people are really trying to get and want to get what they didn't get, but they really need to get. And so we really want that emotionally unavailable person.
Michael, have you been in a situation where you stayed in a bad relationship and it shouldn't have?
I've had my moments where I'm like, what are you doing?
But what's the longest relationship you've been in? A year, right?
About a year,
About a year.
maybe a little bit longer. I've been working a lot, so I don't get a chance to date as much as I'd like to. And, I go on dates with women, and if it's not there, I'm not going to continue to try to make something out of nothing, you know, because it's only going to lead to more issues further down the line. If it means I have to stay single, I'm happy with it. Or maybe not happy, but comfortable, I would say.
Most people really don't really want to change. Most people really want the ways they are to work.
Right.
The problem is, if you stay in a relationship long enough, you'll discover no matter how much you want your ways to work, it's not working. And am I going to be open to the feedback? And, you know, I keep saying my wife, I really truly believe, has made me a better person because she was never satisfied. It's like...
That's an interesting point. Let's take a break. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about, so you find love, and how do you stay in love. In just a second, we'll be back on the front porch with Rick Brown and our guest. We'll see you soon.
Randy and friends.
Hello everybody, we are here at Wild Sides for our first viewing party for Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends. Just got done talking to Jacqueline Siegel, who the show is that we're talking about. We hope everyone will continue to watch Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends at 11 o'clock every Sunday.
Great job, Randy.
Randy and friends.
Hello and welcome back to Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends. Back with our good friend Rick Brown, who's going to be giving us relationship advice, and we are welcoming back Linda Chauncey. Linda has her own set of interesting relationship woes and wonderful things too.
No, don't ask me.
No,
about
you really haven't had
Please
that
don't
many.
go there.
You know, we know, Linda, that you've been divorced, you have a son, and you love to explore this conversation about social media just in general, as related to relationships. But Linda, we want to have you give us some idea and your thoughts regarding what's going to take for you to get back into a relationship.
It's going to take a miracle. An absolute miracle. Yes.
A miracle because you just aren't available or not interested in being
No,
available?
I'm available. I mean, I think all of us are available. You
You have some very specific... I mean, Michael
How
Safali.
does he know all this
I
about
know,
me?
because I talk to
I
you
mean,
every
come on.
day, sometimes 4 or 5 times a day. Michael Safali, if he was 10 years older, would be
Oh,
your...
no. Let's get it right. If
Okay.
I was 10 years younger.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So,
I'm not trying to make him age. I'm saying if I was
you
younger.
You want to be more
No,
youthful.
absolutely. If I was younger, I mean, I see a lot of characteristics that he
Because you
has.
like... Here's her...
I like tall.
Rick, here's the deal. She likes tall, dark, handsome.
You're right.
She's very specific about what she likes, and then she's very tall herself, so it makes
Yeah.
it difficult for her to find people.
Yeah, short men don't do too well with me. Yeah, it's
And
very.
she doesn't like
I
bald men
intimidate
either.
them.
She doesn't like bald men.
No, I do. My ex-husband was bald.
Oh, okay. No,
Don't put words in my mouth. No. There's nothing wrong with bald men. No, I just, there's a chemistry for me that's very important. And I know sometimes I kind of get shunned at saying that, but if I am not really attracted to them on a very interesting level, mentally,
Let's be honest, that's a sexual thing for you.
it's
a
very sexual. It's
for you.
very sexual for me. I mean, I'm
Is that
sorry.
healthy, Rick?
I
I don't know. Is it healthy?
Healthy to have sexual interest?
Well, tell me. I mean, what is
We
it?
are animals. I
You
mean,
know,
Lord.
if you look at falling in love, for example, that is an unconscious process. For example, if I gave you an assignment right now, I said, you got 2 hours to go find somebody to fall in love with. You couldn't do it.
no way.
You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it if I
Keep
gave you.
calling me.
You couldn't do it if I gave you 2 days.
Randy, please.
Because it's not something that you can make happen. It's going to come when you least expect it, when you find this person or bump into this person who does have something, some chemistry. It's not always even, physical attractiveness. It's maybe the way they talk, the way they carry themselves, the way they look. It's like something grabs you. Now, what I am saying is that even though that's the obvious, they're attractive, they're funny, they're caring, they're kind, they're charismatic, that's the conscious, obvious reasons you're attracted to them. The reason you're actually drawn to that person rather than that person over there is also attractive is because you're being pulled to somebody who has positive and negative traits of your parents.
Do you think that's because that was
Wow.
interesting when he said that. What do you think about?
Um,
I've listened to your stories regarding your
maybe.
family.
I mean, I didn't have a father growing up. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I didn't know my real father. Maybe that is something that I'm looking for. I mean, my father was very tall. He was 6'6", my aunt was 6'3" that I never met.
Oh, she's gigantic.
She was 6'3". So my mom's very short. She's like 5'2". So who did I get it from?
Yeah.
Definitely not my mother's side, but maybe there is something to that because I didn't have that in my life. You know, having
didn't
that.
have that emotional connection.
I didn't have an emotional connection to a
Your
man.
dad, no.
Not at all. So
Do you run into situations?
And see, so what would happen is, not having it, there is within you a desire
to have it. Sure.
But what will happen is you'll be drawn to somebody who may be tall, may be dark, handsome, attractive, and looks like they're emotionally available. But where you're going to get hurt is you're going to discover they're not there.
Yeah.
They're not there.
And I find that.
Yeah.
I find that.
And then one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to get so disappointed you're going to leave, or you're going to find yourself in a constant power struggle with them.
So there's no fixing me.
You're done, girl. You are done.
I'm broken.
You know, there was once a famous psychologist who said, it's precisely at the point when couples fall out of love, they have the greatest capacity to fall in love.
Really?
Because what you fall out of love with is an illusion. Nobody ever marries a real person. We all marry who we think this person is, who we hope this person is, who we want this person to be, who we need them to be. And then what happens is, as we're falling up, we become disillusioned. This person who once seemed so attentive now seems so distant. This person who once seemed so available and caring and generous now seems so kind of preoccupied and self-centered, and you become disillusioned. Now, unfortunately, what happens when that happens is most couples don't have the foggiest idea what to do. What they typically do,
they call Rick Brown.
I'm thinking I need to join up really soon. Do you have a boot camp?
The Rick Brown boot camp.
I need a Rick Brown boot camp.
What we typically do is we just get busy. We get busy with work. Get
Oh
busy,
yeah.
Get busy
Oh
with
yeah,
kids,
I agree with that.
Get busy with friends. Get busy with hobbies. Almost as if to say, if I stay busy long enough,
it'll fix everything.
Maybe I won't miss it.
But you know, I will tell you right now, and Glenn and I
I'll drink to
disagree
that.
on that, but it's hard when you've been in a relationship with someone for a very long time to not miss them.
Absolutely.
You know, and to not want them back in your life and to not feel a sense of loss.
Absolutely.
It's very difficult.
Absolutely.
Michael, so if Glenda was 10 years younger,
you're trying your best to hook these two.
I really am.
Hey, listen, I am. Wait a minute. I am Irish English, and he's Italian.
Oh,
so
that
you
could be
know
a bad idea, though. That really
why?
could be bad. Because you guys could fight and stuff like that. Also, I
You
see
know
on
those
hard
English
copy or on the
You know
news
those
or
English
something.
people.
So, Rick, give us some advice. So you find love. How do you stay in love? I mean, that's one of the biggest struggles I think a lot of couples face.
Yeah. You know, I can just share from my own experience. I think one of the things you have to do is first you have to be really open to your partner's feedback. That I was saying to you earlier, I truly believe it's a person who really loves you. That will tell you when you have gook on your face. It's the person who really loves you that's going to tell you when you are distant or when you seem self-centered or you seem kind of arrogant. And most of us are going to get defensive about those kind of, we're going to see them as a critic, which feels like they are. But if you could see them as your best consultant and then say, well, I want to know more about that. Tell me more about my arrogance or tell me more about my distance. And I want to understand. It is hard.
That is so
really hard.
It is hard.
Because that's really one of the biggest struggles you face in a relationship is because people, when they say something critical,
right.
It seems critical.
But usually beneath the criticism, there's a grain of truth to it. Now, we don't like hearing it, and it's not the best way to deliver it, but if I can get behind it and say, I want to look at that. I need to look at my self-centeredness. I need to look at my
they say the truth will set you free.
That's right. That's right.
Then
you start to work on
giggle. Charmer.
That is amazing.
No, but I think that's a very interesting perspective because I think that's one of the
hard. That's really hard to kind of look at yourself and go, wow, not that you failed at something, but you're doing something in a critical way that may be ruining something in your life that's good. I mean, that's hard to really digest that.
And we don't want to do that.
Because most people let you go around just being that way.
Of course.
You know, it's like, oh, she's just so...
let her go.
Yeah, it's a
pacified. We call that
pacified.
pacified.
It's a person who, I truly believe that loves you, that behind closed doors is going to say, it was really embarrassing. You really embarrassed me. I don't like when you do this, or I don't like when you do that. And again, we're going to usually get defensive about that, but if we can take a deep breath and say,
whole new
communication
perspective.
skills come
I like
into
it.
play with the relationship. People need to be able to discuss things and not be, closed-minded, and take that information and say, okay, maybe I did mess up. Well, I was having this problem.
Right.
It stemmed from work, and it just happened to come out.
And I think that's a very valid point. I mean, I've been in that situation. I mean, I've been told many times that I take my career way too seriously, and that I put it in front of people and all this kind of stuff. And I think to myself, what that person didn't really understand is that I was really trying to put it in front to help us,
Right.
to help our relationship.
But that's your perception.
Right.
That's your perception. That's not an individual in a relationship with you's perception.
Right.
Right? So now
'Cause it's hard to be Mrs. Ross.
Well, I can only imagine. Okay.
Oh,
But that's what I'm
it
saying. I
is.
mean,
All
you're
the
expecting
days.
them to just follow everything you do. And, like I get involved with a lot of charity work. And my last relationship, he's like, I'm so tired of you giving all you have to other people
Right.
and not me.
I've heard the same thing.
Well,
and to be able to step back from that rather than say, well, but I do it for this reason, that reason.
Yeah.
Be able to say, maybe there is some
Truth to that. Yeah.
Maybe I.
But Rick,
do
let's be
that.
honest. What does that mean? Because at some point,
Well,
I mean,
you look at why do I really do it all? You'd say we do it for noble reasons, but maybe the reason I do all that is because I get some positive feedback. I get some appreciation. I get somebody who
that's interesting.
recognition. Somebody who sees me. And I'm not feeling that at home.
Yeah.
And so I'm
that
gonna
is
go out.
very, very valid.
Ding, ding, ding. I
Ding,
say,
ding, ding.
I say
we
a drink
drink
on
to that one.
Cheers.
Absolutely.
Cheers to
That was a revelation.
Don't get your water up. Don't you dare bring that water up.
Yeah.
Rick. No, I think that's a very valid point because I've felt that way before when I've gone out and done something and then think, oh my gosh, why doesn't
Why are
that
you so
matter
mad?
in my
Yeah.
relationship like it matters to the community?
That's right.
And
That's
and
right.
and that's how I was
That's where you
brought
felt
up.
appreciated. But when you
Yes.
come home, you didn't feel
I
appreciated.
did not feel the same level of appreciation for
Wow.
what I had done.
Nice.
Some people hold things at a different level, I guess you could say. So what is important to us, maybe the person that you're seeing is like, oh, well, it's
So
important, but it's not
you got to
that
balance that then. There has to be
But so
some
what do you
kind
do,
of a
Rick? So
balance.
how do you make that person feel like? Because in my situation, I always wanted them to know how much I loved them and how much I appreciated them, and so I appreciated that support. But I heard that a lot, that you're doing more for the homeless than you are for
Right.
our relationship. You're doing more for this and this and this.
Well, so you have to be able to be open to what is it that they need that's going to help them feel loved, not what you think you're doing in hopes that they feel loved. Like you could say, well, I work hard, I work all these long hours because I'm providing for you, the kids, the family. That's how I show my love. But you could be doing all that, but you're missing the mark, because what they really need is your undivided. I remember early in my marriage, my wife used to complain all I did was work. All I care about work, all I think about work. I remember I'm going to fix that. But I'm not going to tell her. I'm just going to fix it. Because I'm a fixer.
I'm a fixer too, Rick.
Purposely left my briefcase at the office. I was home at 6 o'clock. Monday I did that. Tuesday I did that. Wednesday I did that. Thursday, Friday. By Friday, having done that all week, I remember saying, notice anything different? She said,
Not
no,
really.
why?
Wow.
You've been complaining that all I do is work, all I do is think about work, bring home work. I haven't brought work home one night, and you're still not happy.
Yeah.
She said, you might as well have. Monday, you're out there cleaning the garage. Tuesday, you're back there working on the pool pump or something. Wednesday, I think you're in your study.
So you weren't spending time with her.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah. You should have brought her flowers.
Well,
Girls love
but
flowers.
see, but then
So
I would have said, but I'm doing this because I love you. I'm working hard for us, our family. She said, that's not what helps me feel loved. Well, help me. What was it? When you do come home, I'd like to ask them how my day was.
Oh, you're
It's all about
So
me.
the love language is what you're really
Well,
getting into.
And then when you begin to tell me when I begin to tell you how my day was, I'd like you to look at me. I'd like you to listen. You know that stuff you do in your office with everybody else?
You're like the
Right here,
mechanic,
bring it
though.
home.
You know the mechanic that's supposed to fix the
Fix the
cars
car.
out there? Yeah, that's you, isn't
But
it?
see,
That's interesting.
But see,
I like
but
what
what
you're
I would
saying, though.
say
I
is-
love what you're saying.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Because,
It makes
and
sense.
I would say, if I'm honest, I thought, okay, I'll do that. And I'll do it for her. But what I discovered is in the process of really doing that,
You did it for yourself.
I was growing. I was learning what it meant to really connect, how to really connect. I needed to grow in that way. I needed to.
So when you say,
learn
how
to
was your
connect.
day, what am I supposed to be doing when I say that? Am I supposed to be...
Well, to show genuine interest and curiosity, not just a passing comment, but to be able to say, hey, well, gosh, I picked up the kids after school and we went to the park and, oh my gosh, really, well, say more about that, and to really show interest in your life and who you are. And the image I had, it's like the human body needs vitamin A and B and C and D, and no matter how much A, B, D, and E we get, if we don't get vitamin C, the system breaks down. Well, it's true in relationships. No matter how much of a good provider I believed I was, and good values and a decent parent, if I didn't really know how to connect, the system's breaking down.
Right.
In fact, I even would say things like, how can you not be happy?
Oh, I
make a good living. I'm a decent.
Really?
No,
No, I have said that many times. I used to think to myself, I mean, I was picking, his son up after school. I was taking him to school on times. I was doing this. I was doing that. And I thought all these other things should matter. What I realized is that was just a little part of the puzzle.
Right.
There were so many other things that really mattered that I was not in tune with.
And you can be frustrated about that. Like, why can't that be enough? Or you can say, what she or he really wants from me is not just for them. It's like they're really inviting me to grow and become a fuller human being. And so I say, I'm so glad my wife's never been satisfied, because I think I'm a better husband. I know I'm a better parent, because I began to transfer that to the kids and start to want to really listen to the kids and what they were saying instead of just passing by. And I'd like to think I'm a better human being because I'm more interested in people and what they say, and genuinely interested, not just passing by.
I think that's a very interesting perspective.
So they invite you to really grow. Your partner can really, if you begin to see your partner as this incredible consultant rather than your worst critic, they're really inviting you to grow and to become all you really were meant to be. I think
let's be fair. There are some partners out there that are not genuinely interested in your betterment. And that, we talked about that. We talked about relationships that aren't perfect.
Well, I wouldn't even say my wife was interested in it for my betterment. I think she was just saying, I'm unhappy, and I want you to do something to make me be happier. It was
really
self-serving in that sense. But my point being that if you can hear it and you begin to stretch into it, it's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Rick Brown and discussions on the front porch with our guests. So we'll see you soon, right back here on Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends.
Randy and Friends.
Hello, everybody. This is Randy Ross with Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends. I got a call into the production company, Titus Productions. We're actually getting ready to go meet them over in an area called Winter Park, which is not very far from downtown Orlando. We are taking a look at a 35-foot motorhome, y'all, something that we would brand on both sides. It may or may not be this one. We started the process of looking, but it's always been part of the business model to make sure that we have a way to travel around to front porches all over America. We are taking over Charles Carrall's position, folks. Anyway, Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends, every Sunday at 11. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends. As we end every show, we have brought Betty back to the set to give us her feedback to what Rick had to say about relationships and what our guests thought about their relationships, etc. So, Betty, what do you think about what Rick Brown had to say today? I mean, you've been married. How long were you married? 14 years?
14.
And you had 2 children during the marriage. How long have you been divorced?
39 years.
39 long years, folks. Long years.
There's hope for me.
There's hope. So, Betty, so tell us, what did you think about what Rick had to say? Had you learned some of those tricks and tools, if you will, back in the day, would you have looked at your divorce differently?
Well, yes, I probably would have, because I think, when you get married, I got married when I was a senior in high school. I had 4 months of school to go, and my ex was going to Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. So we decided to get married, and my dad said, well, you know, she has to finish school. That was fine. He surprised me because he went to see Daddy before I ever knew we really
That
were
was
going
the way
to
to
get
do it
married.
back then, you know, to be
It
more
was
for
just
it.
that way. It
Right.
happened that way.
Right.
And so anyway, we were married, and we didn't have any children for almost 4 years. So you had time to kind of adapt. You would have thought the marriage still would be in place, but it wasn't, because I think basically he was so laid back attitude, tight with money.
Oh no!
Oh, you can't be
Not
tight
with
money.
money.
Not
No,
around me.
No, you can't be tight with money, man.
No marriage will survive that. So,
She told
you
you,
know,
Rick. She told you how it is.
I think now I look at it, because I still love my ex-husband. I told him so 2 years ago. Very loud, very to the point.
Do you hear that a
Came
lot,
out.
Rick? Do you hear that a lot from people who've been divorced for a very long time, that they're still in love with their ex?
It's not that uncommon, because again, I think most people really wanted the relationship to work.
Yes.
What they didn't want is the pain and the frustration and the hurt and the disappointment to continue.
True.
But they really wanted the relationship to work.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it's not surprising that once you do that, people can step back, and some do find that they still fall in love and still feel in love with the other person.
Do you think, Betty, that you'll ever fall in love again?
No.
Who knows? You might be on that RV and go around the campfire somewhere.
Love
and
it.
you
You
may
don't
find
know what
a
you're going to
man.
find in a campground.
You may find something in the
It's just
campground,
like
Betty. Don't.
What we can
Just
get,
like
what we
I
can get.
just said to Doctor, what? Right?
Brave
I
it,
said
brave
to
it.
him that who wants someone who's 71 years old, has scoliosis and spine, arthritis, whatever. They kind of
Come on, there are people that want everyone. You shouldn't look at your...
still have life.
Like I said, at the campfire, you
You
never,
never know what you're going
Miss
to find
Betty.
at the
Well, you
campfire.
know what? I don't know. I haven't found any.
Well,
What
that's
we,
okay.
what we can predict, though, is if you go out looking for it, you'll never find it.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I've heard that.
But
Now, I've
when you
heard
least expect it, who
And you
knows?
said it a little bit earlier.
Right. Who knows?
That same theory, because what you find it when you least
Least
expect
expect
it. That's
It's
business.
like the person who tries to get pregnant and they just can't. And then when they
Exactly.
finally give up,
Exactly.
I do.
Or they adopt, then they get
They
pregnant.
call that herpes.
Okay. You know, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But in the real world, I don't know.
I don't know. You never know, Miss
Just don't
Betty.
know. And let's not
I have
sit in
hope.
the driver's seat of that camper.
Just let her drive the
That
camper.
might impress somebody.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a lady that can't walk very well. She can sure drive that camper.
There you go.
With
Well, you
her
know,
never
Rick,
leaves.
here we are wrapping up our show. If you could send a message to the folks that are watching today about, you know, it's spring. We're talking, this show is going to air this Sunday, where it's, you know, how do you make your relationship thrive? How do you find that person that you're looking for or that you haven't quite found yet? If you could give some advice to our viewers, whether they're here in Indiana, which is where I'm from, of course, and no matter where they are in the world, what are some of the thoughts that you would share with everybody on finding that perfect relationship, or at least maintaining it, or maybe even getting out of it?
You know, I don't even think it's about finding the perfect relationship. I actually trust that unconscious process of falling in love. I actually think you fall in love with the person who, if you're willing to do the good, hard work of, once you fall out of love, really beginning to get curious and interested in learning about yourself, learning about the other person. I think that's why I'm so excited. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've never felt burnt out. I feel so excited about what marriage and relationships can really do. They not only create a relationship for you to potentially enjoy, they help you become a better human person, a human being.
Right.
So if you're willing to kind of see that as an incredible opportunity for growth, that's the most exciting thing to me in the world.
I say that's a big toast right there. That's all I gotta
You
say
just want
about
anything
that.
Linda will do anything to put a glass of wine in her hand and put it in the air. Well, you know, as we wrap up our show today, thank you, Rick. Thank you for everything that you brought to the table today. Thank you to all of our guests. You know, one of our fixtures on this show is Glenda Chauncey, and she's going to be celebrating her 33rd birthday this coming Monday. So we want to wish Glenda Chauncey a happy birthday as you move into your 33rd year.
Yeah.
And with that said, we'll be back in just a few minutes with a little bit more discussion on Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends. But Rick, thank you so much. We appreciate it very much for you being here today, and I think you're going to help some people. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Sandra Fitzgerald, the Associate Producer of Front Porch Chat with Randy and Friends. If you're interested in sponsoring or advertising with our program, please email us at frontporchchatwithrandy@gmail.com. Thanks for viewing. Cheers!
Hurry on, join us on the front porch. Laugh and look, it's so fun. Join us. Come on and join us on the front porch. On the front porch with Randy and Friends.
Hello everyone, I'm Randy Ross and welcome to Front Porch Chat with Friends every Sunday at 11. Cocktails, conversation, politics, and don't forget to grab your favorite lounge chair.